Alright, now we're going to talk about what stats you should aim for and the priorities that they should come into. First off would be hit chance. As a melee DPS with a two-handed weapon, you want to aim for 8% hit. Here you see I'm at 7.98%, which is not really by my choice, but to be honest with you, I'd rather be 0.02% below hit than over hit. I really honestly wouldn't go any lower than what I have here, but I'm pleased with that. As you see, I have a 2/100ths of a percent chance to miss the boss, an 88 or skull level. Next stat you want to go for is expertise. Now that is capped at 26 or 700 and I think it's 61 rating. If you're not an orc, human, or a dwarf, and you get an expertise bonus for equipping a certain type of weapon. Me as an orc, I get 3 expertise rating, or 3 expertise for equipping an axe, which I have equipped. So, as those 3 races I mentioned, you want to shoot for 703 or 23 expertise. The next stat that you want to prioritize is kind of a toss-up. It's still in debate whether or not it is crit chance or mastery rating. Now, crit obviously gives your abilities a higher chance to crit for more damage. But mastery as an arms warrior is really interesting. It grants you a chance for any of your melee attacks to instantly trigger another melee attack for 100% of normal damage. Each point will increase this chance by 2.2%. What I've done in this build here, I've been trying some things today, is try to reforge more to mastery from crit and see how that works out for me. And actually I noticed a decent gain of about 800 DPS going with a mastery reforged set over a crit reforged set. Now the last stat in your priority would be haste. Avoid it at all costs, but in this expansion, as most of you know that are watching this guide, it's almost unavoidable. It's like the plague, it's on everything. So now we'll look at some enchants and gymming. For your meta gym, you'll want to have the 54 strength and 3% increased crit damage, which requires 3 red gems, which is right up our alley. Because most of the time, unless we have a really awesome socket bonus, we're just going to gem 40 strength in most of our slots anyway. So if the bonus is 20 strength or higher, you'll want to gem to meet the bonus, because most of the time that 20 strength, you'll use a hybrid strength gem, so that at 20 strength will equal to 40 strength, and you'll basically get a free stat there. Like here I have 20 strength and 20 hit with 10 strength, but I needed the hit rating, obviously, as you know earlier you saw. So now for your home, you're going to want to go with the 60 strength and 35 mastery Arcanum from the Dragon Maw clan. And then there's no enchant for your neck. For your shoulders, you're going to want to get the Arcanum from Deep Home from Therazane Rep. For your back, you're going to want to go with some form of crit. I have 50 crit here. I think the next higher one that takes Maelstroms is 65, and it's usually pretty pricey on most servers. So it's 15 more crit rating, and I'm not going to spring 3k more for 15 crit rating. So if you have the cash, go for it. If not, 50 crit's fine. For your chest, you'll want to do 20 stats is the best enchant for your chest, but if you can't spring for that, go for 15. Uh, that's fine. For your bracers, you're going to also want to go with crit. More crit is better, especially for me since I'm reforging into mastery, so I want to keep somewhat of a balance there. For your gloves, I went with 50 strength. I do believe there's a mastery enchant for your gloves. I chose to go with strength because point for point, it's the best stat that we have. For your belt, you want to make sure that you get the belt buckle that the blacksmiths can make, or make one for yourself if you are a blacksmith. And you'll want to socket that with a 40 strength gem, since it doesn't have the socket doesn't have a color specification, so you want to put your best gem in there, which is 40 strength. Now your leg enchant, you'll get that from Leatherworkers, and you'll want to go with the 190 attack power and the 55 crit rating. Boots, I went with mastery. There's a run increase speed plus I think mastery, or maybe it's crit, I'm not quite sure. If you have some lag issues, or you have slow reaction time and you can't get from point A to point B, that could be a good option for you. Some people say that the tenth of a second that you save getting from point A to point B is a DPS increase. I agree, but I chose 50 mastery instead. Whatever. Now, if you're an enchanter like I am, you'll want to put 40 strength on both of your rings. Alright. For your weapon, landslide, which gives you attack power on proc, is the best weapon enchant that we can have in the game. So that concludes the gearing, enchant, and reforging section of the guide. I'll see you guys on the training dummy in just a few seconds. Alright, as you see, we got a couple hunters here on the dummies. So while they're whacking away over here, we'll talk a bit about some add-ons that you may want to get for yourself to improve your gameplay a little bit. The first thing I would suggest would be a unit frame add-on that you can adjust in size, and that has will put a numeric value on your rage instead of just having a bar there. I went with X Pearl. It's just my preference. Shadowed unit frames is a good one. Pitbull is another one that people use. So that's my first suggestion, a unit frame add-on. Second would be something to customize your action bars. I went with Bartender here, and basically what it allows you to do is trim the fat of the stock Blizzard action bars, and move those bars around and shape them how you want. That's how I get this button configuration that I have here. The next one I like a lot is called Sunport View Art, and that's this black box that you have down here, and also the one that I have here at the top of the screen. Now, what this does basically is compress my screen into kind of a widescreen mode, so I can zoom out further. My screen is compressed, so I get a wider view of everything, and I can see more of my raid environment when I need to see it. The next add-on I would suggest would be called Power Auras, and I'll bring it up just for a second. I'm not going to give you guys a tutorial on it. I'll just bring it up and show you guys kind of what it does and what it's for. Alright, I typed in /POWA to bring Power Auras up, and basically what it does is it will put a visual cue on my screen when certain abilities proc, certain abilities come off cooldown, things like that. It's really good for things like battle trance, raw fury I have for my trinket. When it gets to 5 stacks, I'll know. I don't have to look at my buffs. Landslide. When landslide procs, I have a visual notifier on my screen that lets me know landslide is procced, so I can line up my other cooldowns with that. Power orbs is a really good add-on for any class, not just for warriors. So the next add-on that I would not suggest, but I would strongly suggest that everyone have is Omen. I'll bring it up so everyone can look at it. Since I'm not in a raid group here, I expanded my recount a little bit so it covers my Omen spot. But Omen is a threat meter, which is important to warriors because we generate a lot of threat. We don't have an ability to dump that threat, so we need to know where we are at all times in relation to the tank as far as threat's concerned. And the last add-on I would suggest here is recount, but I'm sure everyone knows what that is already, or some sort of damage meter, so you can monitor your DPS output and make sure you're not lagging behind everyone else. Alright, the only other suggestion I would make is to set your user interface up in a manner that appeals to your playstyle. You don't want to have your buttons all over the screen. You don't want to have your unit frames in your way. You want to kind of keep your character clean, and you don't want things to interfere with your view of the environment. So those are my add-ons, or the ones that I suggest that you get, and that's my user interface. So now we're going to go into the DPS rotation and cooldowns portion of the guide.